Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to my talk today on reflections on one's identity in academia. So to start off, I'd like for us to think about how students come into the classroom with different backgrounds, perspectives, identities. They're all really unique individuals. And something that we know about students with their different identities is that all identities are not seen as equal in academia. So, what does it mean to think about one's identity, or what we're going to call today the self concept? Well, that's anything one would consider me or mine. So, this could be your social roles, like being a sister. It could be different roles, like being a student. It could be hobbies or activities or characteristics, like being a runner or being athletic. And it also could be future oriented. So in this case, maybe somebody one day would like to be a chemist. And when we think about these different aspects and how they're differently valued in academia, some work has shown that when teachers recognize different contexts and backgrounds and recognize that they matter, this is really beneficial for students. It also helps prevent reproducing these structural inequalities that we see as issues within academia. What has been looked at less so, though, is when students reflect on their own qualities and how this might relate to their feelings of empowerment within the classroom. So to read off some of my research questions, my first one was, does reflecting on how one's self aspects can aid one's academic endeavors positively relate to academic empowerment? Does reflecting on aspects that aren't traditionally valued in academia provide an even greater boost to one's academic empowerment? Does feeling like one is part of the university's community positively relate to feelings of academic empowerment? And what relates to feeling validated versus invalidated at Northwestern? So going through now my method, I was a TA in a course for 10 weeks, and I had students volunteer to take part in surveys every other week. So there were 5 surveys altogether. The first and fifth one being different, and surveys 2 through 4 being the same. And it was an upper level psychology course with around 270 students. So now going through the materials, in the first survey, I had a measure of academic empowerment, a sample item, I am certain I can master the skills taught in my classes this year. Fit to the university, a sample item is, I feel like I fit in with the academic community at Northwestern. Academic identity, sample item being successful in college is important to me. And then I had them write out a prompt. And this was the prompt that I gave them. There are multiple aspects of ourselves that make up who we are. Some of these aspects are core/central to who you are. These aspects would be what you feel truly defines you. We're interested in the aspects of your self-concept that you believe truly make up who you are. These self-aspects can include anything you consider a part of yourself, such as an identity, roles, relationships, or characteristics. Please, in the space below, write in 3 aspects of your self-concept that you consider a part of who you are. Then in surveys 2 through 4, we piped in their different responses, and they responded to this prompt. In your initial survey, you mentioned blank as one of your self-concept aspects. Please use the next few minutes in the space below to write how blank could be an asset in your current academic endeavors, or could be an asset in your future plans after Northwestern University. Also in surveys 2 through 4, we asked single item measures, including please rate how much blank reflects your core characteristics. So again, piping in whichever self-concept aspect they wrote in. In academia, there are specific self-aspects, identities, characteristics that have been traditionally valued to the detriment of other aspects. Please rate how much you believe blank has been traditionally valued by academia. And then in the past week, I felt like a part of the Northwestern community. And then in our final survey, we repeated the measure of academic empowerment, fits in the university, and academic identity, as well as took a measure of self-esteem and had them engage in a validation prompt. And this was that prompt. Since starting at Northwestern, what do you feel has positively influenced your ability as a student? What has made you feel seen, heard, included at the university? What has made you feel disregarded by the university? What have your TAs/professors done that has been helpful or harmful? Please give as much detail as you feel comfortable sharing. So just to show you what the makeup of our participants were, they were mostly white, mostly women, mostly in their 3rd year in school, and the mean age was about 20 and a half years old. So just to show you what some of these self-aspects were that students wrote in, we had race, politics, intelligent, athlete, We have queer, Jewish, ADHD, insecure, people-driven, low income, resilient, hardworking, loved. So really a range of responses, which is pretty similar to what we normally see in psychology when we ask this type of prompt. And then how these aspects relate to academia. One person wrote, being a woman has been helpful in shaping my worldview and can potentially also be an asset in getting a job. But also obviously there's gender discrimination that's probably influenced me. I dropped MMSS for a variety of reasons, partially due to a lack of community. Another person wrote, my current academic endeavors, I think compassion plays into my relationships with other people, like my classmates or teachers. I really enjoy understanding others and listening, and often I think people appreciate this and are more willing to work or study with me if they already think of me as a good person. Now I'm moving into my research questions. My first was, does reflecting on how one's self aspects can aid one's academic endeavors positively relate to academic empowerment? And here we looked at academic empowerment that second time around, comparing those who took part in the intervention, so doing the different surveys across the quarter, versus those who only did the final survey. So here, the mean academic empowerment scores for those who filled out the surveys was 6.33, while for those who didn't fill out the surveys, 6.24. So here we don't find a significant difference between our two groups, suggesting that reflecting on how one's self aspects may aid their academic endeavors did not differ in terms of academic empowerment. And it might be because academic empowerment was on a 1 to 7 scale, and we do see that students here are really maxing out that scale already. Moving into my second research question, it was, does reflecting on aspects that aren't traditionally valued in academia provide an even greater boost to one's academic empowerment? So here I plan to look at moderation, but since I didn't find my first effect, here instead I'm just going to look at how feelings of being your aspects being traditionally valued relates to academic empowerment. And here we do find a significant positive association, indicating that those who feel like their self aspects are traditionally valued also then had greater academic empowerment scores at the end of the year, of the quarter. So this is something for us to think about in terms of how we are portraying which aspects we appreciate in students, and how this may affect how they feel in our classrooms. Moving into my third research question, it was, does feeling like one is part of their university's community positively relate to feelings of academic empowerment? And here we again find a significant positive association, indicating that those who feel like they're more part of the Northwestern community also felt greater empowerment in the classroom. So something for us to think about here is how do we help students to feel like they fit in with our universities, and how feeling like one fits in and is a part of the university affects then how they feel they can do in their classes. Moving into my last research question, here I was looking at different themes of how students felt validated versus invalidated at Northwestern. And in terms of validation, they wrote about professors making an effort to learn about who their students are, professors who are willing to listen to feedback and integrate that feedback into their classroom, really being like flexible in terms of what students are saying works versus doesn't work for them. They talked a lot about their student groups, their friends, their clubs, what they called their people, and how it's the people that they met at Northwestern who have helped make them feel seen and heard here. Students wrote about being seen as human first rather than being a student first by their professors and TAs, and that people really seeing them for who they are as humans really helped them feel validated by academia. And then also having professors who are not just willing to help, but really wanting to help them. Now moving into what related to feeling invalidated, they talked about professors who didn't offer any sort of flexibility, especially in light of the pandemic, being forced to take exams when they had funerals the same day, really made them feel invalidated here. When professors or TAs disregard their mental health, they talked about Northwestern's administration, particularly in regards to Northwestern University community not cops and not feeling like they were really listened to. And then they also talked about professors who did not allow for a connection between them and the professor, and that those who really leaned into that power differential made them feel invalidated here. So just wrapping up, thinking about how our students are really unique in what they bring to our classroom. And when we seem to show value to certain aspects, we're might be influencing how well students feel like they can do in the classroom. So this is something for us to reflect on in terms of what we value in students, and also how we build community with our students to help them feel greater academic empowerment in the classroom. And lastly, when it comes to validating our students, we should really be open to them. We should be making an effort, and we should be willing to listen. And I just want to wrap up by thanking everyone at Searle and CERTL, and of course, my STAR cohort. Thank you.